Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Remote Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Corkum, alongside Leon S. Kennedy's biggest fan, Joseph King. How are you?
Factually accurate. I'm great, man. I have lots and lots of things to say about Leon, or as we in the Resident Evil community like to refer to him as Daddy.
I'm excited to hear all of your thoughts on Resident Evil. Before we jump into what we've been playing, want to go ahead and plug email and socials here at the top of the show. I'm going to try to be better about this. If you want to write in and be part of the show, as so many others, and by so many others, I mean just a few, have been, please email us at remotegamingpodcast@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, whatever you feel like writing in. We would love to hear and talk about it, fit it into the show in any way that we can. Please check us out on X or Twitter at remote_gaming20. I put up a really long tweet. I've been trying to be better about engagement on social media and just making sure that we have a presence out there. I put a long thread on my overall marathon thoughts. I've been kind of replying to some different news stories, reposting things, trying to be active on there. So if you want to hear our thoughts and opinions in real time, it's a good place to go and catch them. You can catch us on YouTube. The video format of the show is usually posted there. So if you want to see our beautiful faces and our illustrious setups and rooms, you can go ahead and check it out there. Also, we are on TikTok and YouTube Shorts as well. Check out Remote Gaming Podcast. If you type that into either one of TikTok or YouTube, our Shorts channel and our TikTok channel will show up. Joseph does a really badass job of cutting and splicing snippets of the show, thoughts, opinions, reactions. We did a reactions to, what was it, the latest State of Play. That's up. Really cool, really fun. We get some,
and that dead little girl from Pragmata.
there's some funny clips on there. So please check them out. They're really fun. But we'll go ahead. I think, I mean, honestly, for today, I think I said this last week too, but there are some really big news stories this week that we need to talk about. Massive shifts in the business from Xbox. It honestly ties a little bit of a thread for what we were talking about last week, I think, with RAM shortages, and just, I think folks are starting to pivot their overall strategies. So we'll talk about Xbox, we'll talk about PlayStation, we'll talk a little bit about HighGuard, but that's stuff to look forward to for later in the show. First things first, I know, Joseph, you're itching to talk about what you've been playing, so we'll jump and dive right into that. I'm going to give you the floor here. I'm excited to hear about your thoughts on Resident Evil. Go.
Well, so I beat Neo 2.
We'll start there.
I finally finished. It took me, I think, 88 hours from start to finish in one playthrough of Neo 2. So I finally finished that. And that was, man, I can't believe I put that game off. One of the best action RPGs I've ever played. I like it probably a lot better than some FromSoft games. I think I talked about that last week. But now actually finishing it, beating the last boss, I don't know if I've just gotten really good at these games, but I found it a lot more forgiving than Neo 1. Some deaths in Neo 1, in Dark Souls you die, it felt it's like your fault. Figure it out, dude. Some things are cheap. Neo 1 had a lot of cheap deaths, and this, I beat every boss. Only one, I think, took me more than like 6 tries. I beat the final boss on my first or second try, I believe. Second try. But most things like in one try. And so great game. I really want to play Neo 3, but after being in that feudal Japan area, I was going to play Ghost of Yotai next. Yotai. Potato. What is the proper nomenclature on that?
Gosh, I know that. So I know that Ghost is Ghost of Tsushima, but right. I don't know.
Let me look up Yotai.
I think it's, I don't know. Let me look it up. Yotai.
I just don't want to be
pronunciation.
I didn't pronounce that correctly.
Okay, here we go. From Yotai, Ghost of Yotai. is how
Okay.
this
Not
pronounced
Yotai.
with
Okay.
ease video. This is how, full disclosure, when I'm at work, I speak with a lot of folks who have names that you can't necessarily pronounce at first look. And I look them up on this website before I jump on calls with them, so that I'm pretty sure it's accurate. So yeah.
I think Googling things or searching up words or things that you don't like, not even just how to say stuff, but like word, say you don't know the definition of a word. They were getting on like, which I'm not a big fan. I don't watch them, but I know somebody was like, I guess the internet gave Kai Cenat a lot of shit for like looking up his vocabulary. And it's like, that's the hill we're dying on now. We're gonna talk shit on people that are trying to better themselves. Like I jumble through words, man. I get ready to do this podcast, and I think that I'm gonna have just the greatest take, and I spitball everything, and I just word vomit all over the place. So, you know, I also, it kind of goes to my anxiety. I speak very fast. I speak before I think sometimes, but yeah, I mean,
Don't we all?
Don't be embarrassed about looking stuff up. Anyway, back on track. Ghost of Yote. Didn't want to go straight into that. So I was like, let's just keep going through the backlog of Silent Hill 2 remake. So I started that. Almost done. Great game. I like it better than, I've always been more of a Resident Evil person than a Silent Hill guy. Silent Hill 2 was cool, but I mean, and it was definitely creepier. Like if you played Resident Evil 1 or 2, Silent Hill 1 and specifically 2 on the PlayStation 2 when it first came out, fundamentally more terrifying. But I think that was given the graphical power capabilities of the PS2 as opposed to the hindrance of a PlayStation 1 when it came to Resident Evil. Because Silent Hill 1 is rough on the PlayStation 1. So I didn't get to finish Silent Hill 2 because Resident Evil 9 released over the weekend. I believe it came out Friday morning. I rolled credits, I think, yesterday, and it is a phenomenal game. And I know it's only February. Kevin, I'm going to tell you, man, there's going to have to be some stiff competition. I know there's a lot coming, but this already has my game of the year already. Like, I cannot believe what I played as a longtime Resident Evil fan and someone who likes all these games for what they are. There will be no spoilers, but I do have some thoughts that I want to convey on Resident Evil 9. The fact that this team at Capcom has continued an entire storyline without retconning any of the games, even 5 and 6 that were terrible, are still considered canon. It's like a soft reboot for the series. 7 and 8 explain things in a prequel type fashion while being set in present day. 7 and 8 play as the why. Resident Evil 1 through 6 and 9 are the how, is how I could best describe the series' overarching story. You know, you have things out of order, Zero's a prequel, Code Veronica, all these games, right? Resident Evil 4 has always been my favorite Resident Evil game, and Leon Kennedy has always been one of my favorite protagonists. After this game, Leon is probably up there with like Solid Snake and Kratos, in my opinion, as one of the greatest video game protagonists of all time. And he already was to a lot of people, I'm sure, but man, the callbacks to certain Resident Evil games, the emotional brevity and the weight of outcomes that happened in previous games that you really don't think about in the moment come back to haunt this man who's now, you know, he's older, he's grizzled, and he moves slower, but it's Leon is a phenomenal character, and Grace is up there as one of my favorite female protagonists, and probably I like Grace more than Chris Redfield. Playing through Grace is great. The actress does a phenomenal job. I've never heard somebody scream, cry, and horror and fear and sadness all in once, and it happens very early in the game. That's not a spoiler or anything. I think that's even in the trailers, but she does so well at conveying her emotions in this game. Real quick, I just kind of wanted to touch base on some of my notes. Like I said, it's one of the best in the series. I put it up there with the original Resident Evil 4 for me. It's personally my game of the year. The graphics. This game is gorgeous. The fidelity. I'm playing on PC at 4K ray tracing, and it's locked at 120 frames. And this game is just flawless, man. Like the RE engine has always been pretty decent since Resident Evil 7. and then the remakes that followed, and then 8. But man, what they did in this is amazing, and especially coming off the coattails of something that, like, I think, Monster Hunter Wilds did not do so well because it was open world. Being a linear, smaller game makes it stand. Everything pops, the textures, the level of detail. I mean, you've seen, I know you don't plan on playing this game, but the street side, the street scene with the rain and the lights. You lived in New York. It gives that feel of being like in Brooklyn, and on a rainy day. No performance issues, no crashes, did not crash one time. Played it. I think Steam says I put in around 18 and a half hours. When I cleared the game, playtime was about 12. So to finish, that was like, a few deaths, some restarts, puzzle solving and things like that. But the recorded playtime was about 12 hours. My overall playtime in one playthrough was about 18 and a half because of just taking my time, discovering things, looking for things, really kind of soaking in that world. The gameplay between Grace and Leon, switching from first person to third person, it flows very well. And you would wonder, how's that going to feel? The game gives you an option right at the beginning to switch between first person or third person for Grace, and the same for Leon. You can play the whole game in third person, you can play the whole game in first person. The recommended way to play it is first person for Grace, third person for Leon in the first playthrough. And if you're a longtime fan of the series, it is paramount, because Grace's gameplay is very slow, very survival horror, very limited resources. When you switch over to Leon, it is like revenge for all the bullshit this poor girl went through, and you just get to wreck shop and go John Wick on a bunch of zombies. And it's phenomenal action, and the pacing is done so well. You're able to swap from something just being like, oh god, dude, that I don't want to go down that room, to being like, let's go, motherfucker. Like it's Leon's voice actor does so good in that it is very Keanu Reevesy, these one-liners. Like it's just, he just has all the one-liners that he had in Resident Evil 4. It's there, and it's great. And so the gameplay swap feels good, and it flows really well and feels balanced. My overall thoughts, it's definitely going to be hard for something to pass this as my game of the year. Maybe Crimson Desert. But that game's got a mile wide of promises, and I don't know what we're going to get. So maybe GTA 6 if that releases this year, but I don't know. Man, Resident Evil 9 is a great game. I would at least play 2 remake and 4 remake if you've never played a Resident Evil game. I highly recommend playing those 2 games, because even though the story does everything is canon and is kind of a soft reboot, playing through 2 specifically, Leon's campaign in Resident Evil 2, is, I think, will help your experience in this game. But yeah, love Resident Evil 9.
Yeah, I'm glad you answered that, because that was going to be my question as to like what's a good jumping in point if someone is listening to this and they're hearing you rave about, Requiem and all of that. So you say 2, 4, and then probably go with what we're looking at now.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, and then play 9.
Okay.
The story, there is a overarching story, and there are characters that are mentioned or connected. Unless you're a big time Resident Evil fan like me, or a lore freak, it's not going to matter much. And the story, in that regard, the story will kind of suck probably for you if you're not a longtime fan, but definitely playing through 2 and 4 and 9 will give you the some of the emotional highs and lows. Unfortunately, this game has a lot of emotional lows. Of those, playing through those 2 games specifically before this would help.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think. I mean, obviously, saying that it's a top contender for game of the year is high praise. And obviously, big fan of the series. I'm glad that they delivered, because the screenshots look awesome. I've been seeing a lot of funny stuff online of it, like Leon in cutscenes, and he's like jumping through windows and like doing crazy shit, and then it's like Leon in gameplay, and he has to like go around like this little you can't like go over a little pile of dirt or something like that, but it's very Resident Evil. It's very video gamey, but the internet's having a great time with it in a good way, if that makes sense, right? Of like celebrating the game and celebrating the way that it feels and plays and looks, and it's fun.
it's cool that Capcom has captivated fans like me. There are definitely callbacks. There are moments that make you go, "Oh shit!" If you're a longtime fan, there are moments that make you go, "What? Who's that? Is that like your brain goes every which way because it is all connected." They did such a good job of wrapping that up. But to someone that's never played a Resident Evil game, this experience is probably just breathtaking, and I definitely think it's something that everybody should experience. If you are not a fan of horror games, Grace's parts can get quite intense. There's one particular moment that it didn't irk me or anything, but after I was done, I was like, fuck man, thank God that's over with.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're liking it. It's going to be interesting to see. I think listen, Crimson Desert is coming out fairly soon here this month. I watched Skill Up's preview of it. It was I think everyone is very optimistic. The performance has been really good. Something that I'm not super thrilled about is they keep talking about a lot of puzzles and very integrated, detailed systems. So we'll see. I'll definitely play the game. Looks awesome. I can't wait. But I'm not a puzzle guy. You know this about me. I don't give a shit about puzzles. I don't play games for puzzles. I don't want. And he said that they were like developers that were there at the playtest that were helping. I mean, these are all gamers, right?
Yeah.
They were helping people because they were lost with these puzzles that were right in front of them, and that's not a good sign. Hopefully, that they can figure some of that stuff out. But yeah.
I disagree. I'm actually stoked. I watched Fighting Cowboy, he does all the Souls reviews and walkthroughs. I watched his preview today of it, and I liked what he said, that we're gonna have some hard truth pills to swallow with the gaming community. He's like, I'm already predicting, I think that's going to be one of the complaints, is that this is too puzzle heavy. And this is not a slight at you. I just think a gaming community at large, we've gotten so used to, Nathan Drake, there's a yellow rail, or even in Resident Evil, if it's yellow box, smash me, smash. He's like, if you don't do well, he's like, bro, there is nothing like that. He said, we were taught, and the only reason we figured it out at the 4-hour playtest is because we're in a room full of people and we're all communicating. He said, this is going to be a game that is probably hundreds of hours long if you don't use a guide, because you just have to figure things out. Like I read yesterday that to get certain side quests or main quests, you get it delivered to you just randomly in the open world by a bird, which, dude, this game has all the makings of possibly the best open world sandbox of all time. Like it's got like Witcher Breath of the Wild meets, I don't know, I mean MMO almost, but it's going to be one of those. I want to see it on a base PS5.
I do too. I'm hopeful though. I mean, it's the specs that everyone was playing on PC. It wasn't like, super high end specs, and they were able to run the game and it ran really well. It's a new engine that they built from the ground up. So I don't know. I'm really excited to see what it looks like. That's going to be the kicker, is like if the game runs like shit, but I just don't. You know me, I'm really skeptical about games that run really poorly, but at Digital Foundry, I mean, a lot of folks have kind of put their stamp on this already, saying that it's pretty remarkable what they're doing, and that they think it's going to be, viable on those other consoles. So it's going to be interesting to see what it is once we finally get it.
Yeah. One thing that I as soon as he did touch on Fighting Cowboy I was like, oh, Kevin's not gonna like that. He discussed that the game's controls are not very tight or clean on controller. He's like, I honestly don't know if I want to play this with controller or mouse and keyboard. He said probably controller, but he said there's so many buttons that are like double mapping going on. He said this is not a casual friendly game, and he said some of the to run or to parry, and as of the demo or the play test they could not change the controls. Hopefully you can remap controls in some fashion, but it's because I'm like, man, this game looks great, but what's the catch? And if the catch is gameplay just doesn't feel good, it's gonna be like, damn, there you go.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and it's actually one of my minor complaints about Ghost of Yotei 2, which is I'm continuing to play, and I'll talk about that a little bit here now. I'm in love with the game. It's really great. The story beats are cool. I'm like 12 or 13 hours in now, maybe a little bit more. I am just getting lost and sidetracked everywhere because the world is so cool and you're in these areas and in very open world style where you get to an area and you're wandering around that area and you kind of stumble upon other things as you are going through objectives or trying to clear, main story beats. And I just have been saying yes to everything. There's a little bird that flies in, right? Very similar to Tsushima, and you follow that bird and it brings you to an area where you find this thing and then that leads you somewhere else. So I have a ton of upgrades. I have, a lot of stuff, and I'm, out of the Yote 6, it's not a spoiler, right? The whole game is a revenge plot. I think I've only killed one out of 6 so far, and I'm a good percentage of the way through a lot of the extra content. So I'm excited I'll probably at some point just start mainlining parts of the story to get through and see what I can. But one complaint that I do have is similar to the first game. You change combat stances, right? You change weapons throughout. So you have your dual katanas, your regular katanas. You have this huge sword, which is super fucking badass. Those are pretty easy to switch between. But you have your bows and like kind of your throwable items that are mapped to L2. And like when you get in there, you have L2 and you can switch them to something else using the D-pad, but then you can switch the ammo type on the face buttons. So you're it's like 3 button inputs and it's not intuitive in battle, which is probably part of the point because I don't know that they really want you like throwing out bombs, but you have to something like in certain things you want to throw a smoke bomb or you want to set this place on fire. It just takes a little bit. It's a little bit cumbersome and the game slows down, right? It does that thing where when you pull out a weapon and you go to change, it slows down a little bit, but sometimes you're surrounded by like 7 guys. And part of the combat is like moving between them and keeping this guy at bay and that guy at bay. And so it's a little bit cumbersome in that sense of just some of the controls feel a little wonky and there's a little too much there, but it's a very minor gripe because it feels so good to slice through enemies. The Atsu has some really neat backstory, and the characters that you meet along the way have all been really fun and interesting. The game is very well voice acted. I'm playing just with the English dub, English voice actors. I'll probably switch at some point and do some of the Japanese with like I did with Tsushima, the first game. I switched back and forth a little bit just to get a little flavor of both. They're both really good. I highly recommend if you like open world games. It's pretty awesome. It's visually stunning. I mean, very often the game just forces you to look at it when you're going from one place to another. I always like to pan the camera around myself, but if you just go in one direction for a little while on your horse, it'll slowly move and shift the camera to whatever it feels like, whatever the better vista is at that time. It'll slowly turn you and you'll look that way, and you've got all these beautiful flowers, and it really is very, very neat. Some of the combat encounters that you get into are very fun, and the boss fights are still very cool as well. You have story bosses, but you also have world bosses. I just fought this guy for his armor before we hopped on here. Awesome fight. You had to find these 4 things and the wind guides you to this guy's secret lair, and you hook up these things and he's there waiting for you kind of to kill him. And they're really cool little silhouette stories within the main story. So although I want to continue moving through the story and killing the Yote 6, also I'm finding these really fun side quests to do that take you on another 20-minute adventure where they wrap up really nicely, and it's not necessarily just a fetch quest or these bandits or what I mean, the Oni, they stole these things, and it's like sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's not.
The Yote 6, it's very Tarantino. Like
that's I'm so glad that you brought that up because it is incredibly Tarantino. I thought that playing the game, it feels very Kill Bill in a lot of ways. It's a revenge story, a woman protagonist. She's a little rough around the edges,
like a katana.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's really cool. I'm digging the story a lot more than I thought I would. There's, no spoilers here, but there's a character that you run into at a certain point where you don't really think about them, and then suddenly they show up and you're like, oh fuck yeah, cool, this is a really cool part of the story, like cool. But it's neat, and they do a good job of laying out the story, and the villains are obviously evil as hell and very Western style, very Japanese, very 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 cool. Enjoying it. Don't have really anything bad to say. I also have been playing a ton of Overwatch. I cannot stop playing. It's just like I said to my wife, I was like, if I had to pick just one competitive game to play for the rest of my life, it might be Overwatch. The game is so good right now. It's so fun to play. There's so much variety in the heroes. It's in a great spot right now. You can play 5v5, you can play 6v6. So 6v6 is classic Overwatch without role queue. So you can switch roles throughout the match, and if your tank sucks, you can tell them to switch and swap, and you can swap with them, and or you can role queue, which is how a lot of people prefer to play, because they like playing the one role that they have: tank, DPS, or support. I happen to like 6v6 a little bit more than 5v5. I think the way that the tanks have to get balanced in 5v5, just not as fun. I mean, you run 1v1 against a tank in 5v5, you're fucked. Like, I don't care what character you're playing. Like, you have to be really good, and they have to be at like medium health for you to kill them. 6v6, every battle can feel winnable, which is I think is fun, and I just like having more characters on there too. It adds a little bit, I think, more dynamic, but that's neither here nor there. Just can't say enough good things about Overwatch. Super good right now. And if you're looking for a multiplayer game that's not Marathon, which we're about to talk about here shortly, I think play Overwatch. But I really want to dive into Marathon. We both played the server slam. I have about 8 to 10 hours in it. I don't know how many hours you have, but I'm going to kick it over to you to talk about your experience with Marathon, and then we can pull on threads from there.
Man. So I didn't get to play like the first day and a half because I worked, and unfortunately, because I've already purchased the game, unfortunately, the same thing's going to happen on the first 2 days. I'm going to be a little bit late to the party. Trying to find the closed technical test.
It was off of my Steam. I tried to look at the hours earlier.
They took it away. I think I was at somewhere around 4 to 6, and mainly because of Resident Evil 9. But it was all on PC that I played. I did load it on the PlayStation and played it through the tutorial, and then played one solo match on PlayStation because I wanted to see how it controlled. Looked good and ran in 60-ish. I was getting some dips that I could tell I was probably in the 40s or 50s on a base PS5, in the heavier foliage, more obviously NPCs noise in the background, and a couple player fights. The FPS kind of dipped a little bit, but that was just from one match, so I can't speak on PlayStation enough. I just wanted to see was it drastic? Did it seem like Destiny 2 on PS4 to PS5? No, it's totally playable on PlayStation 5, and looks fun, and it looks good. Off the bat, I think the game itself is good. I never had from tutorial to the matches that I played, I never had not fun, and I didn't understand the vitriol that was surrounding this game. As I think I had posted, I was trying to find what I wanted to convey my thoughts. This was my first thoughts after playing like 3 matches. I tweeted, I said, Marathon is fucking rad. I didn't understand all the hate. Then I realized people maybe just don't want to read in a video game, specifically a multiplayer game, or they simply cannot. That, or they are jaded Destiny 2 fans or Arc simps who can't comprehend that each game can exist simultaneously. The gunplay is smooth and responsive. The art style and graphics are dope. The UI could use a little bit of polish. However, everyone complaining about the art style or the menu UI clearly had it fly over their heads that this is a reimagining of a Bungie title from 1994 and don't understand the callbacks. I wanted to highlight this point real quick. Yes, the UI it could use some tweaking. I don't disagree with that, but the style of it, though, that 1993 Apple aesthetic that it has, that is important, I think, to what if you've never heard of Marathon, I didn't play it, so I'm not going to pretend I did back in the day, but go look up some screenshots. It kind of looks like Doom meets System Shock is how I best could describe it. And if you know anybody or you're old enough to remember those 1993 94 Apple Mac computers and the blue screen and the aesthetics and the font, I get that that's what they were trying to do. And the art style I really like. People are calling it lazy and unimaginative and boring and bland. It's very colorful, it's very vibrant. I think the what we talked about, how they changed some of the graphics and updated some stuff, was necessary, because I do like it's almost like this futuristic, it's almost like, if you know how when you build something on No Man's Sky, on any like swampy planet or something, you build
Mhm.
that aesthetic to it. It's like it was definitely placed there, and that's what the overarching story is how humanity went out and you're trying to recover these artifacts. And I like it, I really do. I don't think they're going to have enough maps at launch, and I don't know if that's going to feel repetitive. It won't to me, because I'm going to play this extremely casually, because I'm working through my backlog, and I'll probably only play with you or some other people. But man, I liked it. I don't understand what people hated so much about it, and now people are flip-flopping, it seems.
Yeah, I think it's funny because people are playing Marathon similar to how they played Arc Raiders, and there's more story and more lore in Marathon than there is in Arc. I love Arc. You love Arc. We both love that game. It's incredible. It is a casual game. Arc Raiders is a casual game. It is not a PvP focused game, and I think we did that whole long podcast and we posted that TikTok and argued with people. I think they're moving a little bit more towards being a PvE game at this point. That's just how it feels a little bit.
I haven't.
Which is
I'm hearing that about the new season. Have you played Arc at all? Like, what's the why is that the consensus?
I'm not sure. I
I
haven't
heard
played the
Tim the
new
Tat
season.
Man say something about it last night, and he said the game is feeling like that. I honestly just haven't touched it since like February 1st. But
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't dropped in. I think I played one or two matches like a week ago, right, and just kind of like hopped in to see what was going on and hopped out. I still like I don't have as many hours on Arc as I thought I would at this point. I only have 30 something. Thought I'd have a lot more, but I just I played a ton of the Server Slam, and I played a
yeah.
ton of the Alpha, so I got a little burnt on it. But
And I have 200, and I'm like, I'm just gonna wait till a big content drop, because you're kind of just doing the same thing. There's like a few blueprints that I don't have, and I didn't really feel like upgrading or resetting my skill tree, so I did what you're supposed to do, is just move on a little bit and maybe come back to it.
yeah, I think what you said though about there not being enough maps, I think is going to come into play. But I'm watching streamers play Arc Raiders, or excuse me, Marathon, and they're just skipping through all of the faction stuff and skip, 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 skip. I'm like, guys, this is part of the experience, right? This is Bungie is going to tell a story through this, through the data logs that they have, whatever the fuck they're called in the game, and all of these different things. Like, you are supposed to engage with this game in a different way. Yes, it's going to be very much. It's going to be a lot more hardcore, I think, than Arc Raiders. It's going to be PvP focused. Dude, I was watching some of the Destiny guys and some of the Apex guys play this game. Holy, we don't even have, all of the weapons and all of the upgrades and things like that.
Is Frostbolt already murdering everybody?
Yeah, dude. I mean, these guys are just rolling up on squads and wiping them. It's really fun to watch. But that's what this game is going to be. There's going to be multiple types of progression, I think, in Marathon. They came out today, and I thought this was really interesting, and said the only progression is not the loot that you get. It's also the power creep and the power grind, right? Like, and this is something that you mentioned to me. Hey, the game feels a little slow, right? You feel like a Titan in Destiny. I'm a Titan main, so I totally understand exactly what you mean. The game's a little slow. You feel stapled to the ground, and that is intentional. But I think as your character and as you level up these skill trees and you get these different upgrades, you're going to feel way more powerful, right? And those high end PvP maps, they're going to have a map where you have to have a certain gear score, basically, right, or kind of like a count score to get into those maps to play with the big dogs. I think it's going to be really really cool. I love the art style so far. I think it's really cool. I love the loading screens. I love these characters. They're really interesting to me from a visual standpoint. I think it's going over a lot of folks' head. They're like, oh, it looks like Roblox. I'm like, well, you don't really get it then, and that's okay. You don't have to get it, but it's supposed to have this feel, and it's a great call out that you said earlier, right? It's guys, it's an old game that they're kind of revamping, right? And that's part of it. Now, I do have to talk about the UI. A UI fucking blows in I mean, it's just bad. Like the things that are bad about it are you can't tell, especially with some of the upgrades and the perks and like the different things, the attachments, you can't tell what they are from looking at them. You got to hover over them to figure out if you want it or not and what it attaches to. It's just not clean. Like I like the art style, but it needs to be a bit more distinct between specific things that you pick up in the world on controller too. And this is just a controller problem. I played some mouse and keyboard. I played some controller. That's how I play a lot of games. I switch back and forth when I get bored of the input. Feels much better. I mean, the game controls great on both. Obviously, inventory management and stuff like that, like between matches, is always on mouse and keyboard for me because it's just the freaking cursor is slow and it's big too. Like I'm like, oh my god, there are just some little things that are driving me nuts about it.
I think that I would probably have more of a UI problem because you are playing primarily with controller, right? I think the UI is I could see where it's a pain. Because obviously every extraction shooter takes a little bit of something from Tarkov, right? Like the inventory management, the way the backpack looks, moving things over from left to right. Games like DayZ and PUBG had that grid system before that, and it does feel better and easier to move things with a mouse. The start screen while you're at home, I can see this being more of a problem. They need to make it more user friendly for controller players. I feel like.
It's a PlayStation. It's a PlayStation Studio, right? Like it, and this is just it's inherently a problem. Like Arc Raiders doesn't feel great either, right? Between matches, I'm always using my mouse and keyboard to get set up my loadout and go. But you know what I mean? Because I'm playing these games on PC. Ran great on my PC. Ran awesome, and this is like without using. I think I was running it natively. I don't even think I was using DLSS. I probably will bump up. Maybe I'll use some frame gen. I was hovering though, like at like 90 to 105 frames. I was playing at mainly high settings. It was good enough for me. It ran pretty well, no stutters or anything like that. I'll tweak the settings as I go further. The maps are fine. I think the flow is good. They have a good amount of areas to fight in. Obviously, the AI in this game is very strong. They came out and said that there were a lot of people were dying to AI, and I think that's why some folks were saying at the beginning, "Hey, there's not enough people to fight." Well, they were just getting wiped by the AI because people don't understand. The game is incredibly Bungie. If you're familiar with Destiny, the way the enemies interact with you, their threat levels, things like that, feel like if you're doing a what is it like a the Nightfall. What is it like the? Oh my God, I can't remember that. It's been a while since I played Destiny, like the Pinnacle Nightfalls or whatever, right? Where you're dropping in and all the enemies are really dangerous. Grandmaster. Yeah. Thank you. It feels like a Grandmaster Nightfall, right? Which is, I think, fun. Like I don't know. I'm
champions.
Yes, I'm excited to dive into this game. It's something that I will be playing in the background for a while. I love the way Bungie games feel. This has the art style. I think it's going to have the hook. I do want to talk about the discourse around the game. I mean, I was logging on to watch, some streamers play. Burnt Peanut was one of the big ones, right? And I mean, he put it so well. He's like, guys, the game that you're telling me to go play, Arc Raiders. When I started playing Arc Raiders, you were telling me to go play another game. He's like, when the fuck is this going to stop? He's like, let these games come out, let them cook, play the game. Like everyone's just like, oh, this is trash. This looks bad. This is blah blah. It's Bungie, guys. Right. And this goes back to not everyone has to be gamers and has to understand the legacy of studios. Like we're massive nerds when it comes to these things. But when it comes to brand new games that everyone is talking about, and Bungie has an incredible pedigree and they know how to make a video game. They understand progression. You have to give things a chance before just calling it slop, saying it looks like Roblox. If you don't like the art style, that's fine. If it's not visually appealing to you, fine. I guess you're a loser, in my opinion, because we don't get games with unique art styles like this anymore. Everything is hyper realistic. And if it doesn't look like Arc Raiders, which I think is also an absolutely beautiful game, but in a much different way, it's sad to see that a lot of people are calling for this game to be dead. It's not going to be dead. The Steam numbers don't reflect that. I think people are going to come out and play this game, and I think it's one of those things where when folks get their hands on it, they're gonna like it because it's fun to play. And if you can play with friends, I don't know how much I'm gonna play this solo. I play a lot of Arc solo. Marathon, I know you said you played a lot of Marathon solo and really enjoyed your time. I'm going to try it out, but this is definitely a game I want to play with you. I want to play with friends because that 3v3, like, the game is just so fun when you're in those fights and this guy's using his ability and this ability, and you can move around the map, and then you have to deal with, AI at the same time. The fights are really dynamic. They're super fun and they feel fair. Time to Kill is in a great spot, I think, right now. I don't think they need to touch it at all. I know that Bungie said it was a hot button topic. Like, don't fucking touch it. Like, let the game come out. Let us get better shields and weapons and all of those things and see how it is then. Maybe you adjust it in a mid-season patch, but just let us play it for a while. Let us complain. Let us figure out what works and what doesn't. We can go from there. But I think this is going to be one of those games that finds a very niche, hardcore audience, similar to like a Tarkov, right? And the game will go on for many years. But I'll kick it over to you. I just rambled for like 10 minutes.
Oh man, I mean, we're both Bungie heads. As much shit as we give Xbox, I mean, we you love Halo, I love Halo.
Yep.
I love anything that Bungie has created at least once. May not love it forever, but I loved everything that they've ever made at least once at some point. So I think it'll be good. And I'm excited to try that team dynamic because the 3v3s I did during the technical test, because I was playing Resident Evil 9, were all with randoms. And even with randoms, I was having good synergy with my teammates. I was able to play triage. I feel like in groups I'm going to play triage. I feel like triage is a necessity. A destroyer and a triage, I think, need to be a part of that team. But when I was solo, I played is it Assassin, right?
Yep.
I played that shell, and I didn't understand what everybody was complaining about with the difficulty of solo. Like, I was getting out just fine. Maybe it's just because I like extraction shooters and playing them slowly, more methodical, not making a lot of noise, not necessarily camping, but opportunist, right? Take my chances. Hey, I got some good shit. Let's see what happens. Let's see how this plays out. So I didn't find the difficulty that bad. And like, as far as AI, I had asked you, I had texted, I was like, can you sneak around, or do they automatically, if you're in the area, can they sense you? And you were like, no, you can sneak around, but they swarm. And I was able to sneak around a majority of a lot of AI, because to me, if I'm playing solo, I want to, because I don't know, maybe I just didn't see, but it didn't feel like the bots, unless you had one of the really powerful ones, they really didn't drop anything. You know what I mean? Like, most of your stuff would come from looting. And I know you get the Rook to do that. From a gameplay overall perspective of a fan of extraction shooters, having the Rook or your Scav for your Tarkov players, your guy you can just go in and get stuff with and try to get out really quickly, and to get a free kit, kind of like Arc Raiders, those two seem, I feel like there needs to be some balance there. I don't feel like you need both. If I can scav or use my Rook, I don't need a free kit, because I'll take whatever I can get out. And that might make it a little bit harder. I don't know. Maybe they want to keep the free kits. Also, bro, the free kits in this game, almost like Arc Raiders, that precision rifle, I was just nailing headshots with that thing. And I get it. It was a server slam. Nobody had high tier armor. I think the highest I ran into was I don't even think I personally saw somebody wearing blue. But that weapon was able to hold alone, but I didn't want to engage with PvE. I was going to say something else real quick about it.
Well, I'll pick up where you're. I think the free kits and this goes back. We talked about this a little bit on through text. Is if you're this game is meant to be played with friends. Like this was designed for 3v3, and I think they added solos. I think that free kit is basically like I just got my ass handed to me, however, for 2 hours, and my buddy's jumping on and he wants to play, but I have no good gear. And if you go in as a rook, if I'm not mistaken, you have to be solo, right? So you wouldn't be able to play with your friends. You'd be like, oh wait, let me make a couple rook runs and then I can go in and whatever. And a free kit is just a way to be able to say, oh, okay, I'll grab this free kit. I'll run in with a bully SMG with you guys, and like, I'll be a little bit of a liability, but I can help in some situations, or maybe they can drop a gun for you when you get in, like whatever, right?
That's a good way to look at it for sure. I now you saying it like that, I'm like, I don't disagree with that. I don't discount that. I think that's a good idea, and I think that's probably why it's there.
Yeah, it's the game is definitely designed. Does that make sense? Like, it's so funny. I was thinking about, Ghost of Yote, and I think one of the biggest things that I can say about it is that it's incredibly playable. Like it is a video game that is really, really playable. Combat is crunchy, traversal is great. It just feels fun to play. And I think Marathon has that, but it also has this level of maybe even to its own detriment of being a little over designed, where you step into the main menu and everyone's like, wait, where do I go? Wait, I have these guys over here, and like, wait, this is locked behind this menu, and wait, I can only bring in one thing at a time. Okay. And it just takes a little bit to get into the game. And I think they can make some of those menus a little intuitive. But I mean, have you logged into Destiny recently? It's a friggin' nightmare. Oh, yeah. And we know how to navigate it because we played the game for years.
And they overhauled it for new players. They tried to make it even better, and it's still like not.
Oh my god, friendly. It's worse. So Bungie has a problem with, they love menus, man. They love them, and they love how fucking complicated they can make them. But I think it's going to be fun, and I think we're the target audience for Marathon. Honestly, like what we like to play, how we like to play. I think the game just kind of, it screams Kevin and Joseph.
Yeah. If Arc Raiders is heading towards a place of PvE centric and pacifist game style play, which cool, fine, that's fine. That's not for me. That's not why I play multiplayer games and not competitive shooters, but that's like just PvP games. If a game has PvP, don't get mad it's in Sea of Thieves when I sink your ship and steal your treasure, because it'll happen to me too. And just like Tarkov, just like Arc Raiders, you're gonna die. It's gonna happen. You got to reset. But I think you're right, and that this is definitely going to be more competitive, just from the aspect that it's first person. You're not going to have a bunch of wall sniffers, third wall peeking. You really got to kind of play on your toes. And some of the the guns recoil, I'm sure, as you get better tier loot, but the lower tier loot recoil is people are going to have to aim in this game. And I was loving it. I got my sensitivity in a sweet spot on my mouse, and I think as soon as I get some good hotkeys down and like or not hotkeys, but rearrange my my keybinds, I'll really, really love playing through Marathon. But I just don't. It's like you said, the discourse. Why can't just something exist? Why does it's so weird how powerful the player's voice has become in a very negative way. We used to say a long time ago, vote with your wallet and make sure you're speaking out. But it's like, you're not giving, people are just hating stuff just to do it. It feels like, and they're getting things canceled. And, HighGuard, which we'll talk about here coming up, which may be a good transition to, but that game didn't appeal to me. I didn't like it, but I just wasn't going to play it. I didn't take my day out on Twitter or X and just spew bullshit when I have no hours played. So if I don't like fucking HighGuard, hey, I just compared HighGuard to abortion.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, it's so funny, but it kind of works.
I mean, hey, that's what that team did, right? They aborted HighGuard.
Yeah, they did, and honestly, it's a perfect segue. This news dropped, I think it was today or yesterday. HighGuard's shutting down this month. And let me see if I can find the official statement here. I pulled up an article. This is from The Verge, Andrew Webster. They don't have any official comments here, but this is what they say. Another high-profile live service game is shutting down soon after launch. This time, it's free-to-play squad shooter HighGuard. Developer Wildlight Entertainment says that even though HighGuard reached 2 million players, the game will shut down permanently on March 12th. That's less than 2 months after the game debuted on January 26th. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we have not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. I feel really bad about this. I was much higher on HighGuard than a lot of folks were. I thought that there was really good bones with that game. I thought that it, did the main gameplay mode need a little bit of tweaking here or there? Could it have benefited from a longer time in an alpha or a beta? I think the answer is a resounding yes. Now that it's shut down, I think absolutely. But there was something there, and I've seen a couple devs talk about, oh, it's because we were too PvP focused and it was too competitive focused. Nope, that's not it. I really think it's a combination of people taking a look at the art style and having it be, generic's not the right word, but it feels like there was nothing super distinct about the art style of HighGuard. The gunplay was great. No one can deny that. Played really well. The main game mode was a culmination of a bunch of different types of things, and maybe they could have abbreviated it or added a couple more players. And granted, I didn't jump in after 5v5 because after that main weekend, I think I knew that the game was not going to be anything to write home about for the long term. So I just didn't want to invest any more time there, which again, I think is another reason why a lot of folks didn't give it another try, is because they said, well, this game's going to be dead anyways. Why would I even try? There's someone that I used to stream with way back in the day. And he's been playing a lot of HighGuard actually, and has some very positive things to say about it. He's a big PvP gamer, played Apex, and we met playing Uncharted multiplayer back in the day, believe it or not. And we were both really high up in the ranks, and we play together. But it's sad, and I feel bad for the developers. This whole like, haha, yay, the game shut down, the studio. I mean, it's just such rookie nonsense, inexcusable behavior. These are people's lives. These are people have families and kids, and they work really hard on these games. And maybe this was a swing and a miss, but I think the discourse added to this specifically in this instance. But I also think that if you're releasing a multiplayer game into this world in 2026, you have to be very careful, and you have to know exactly who your audience is. And I think HighGuard just missed the mark with knowing exactly who the audience, who their audience is. If you want to go play a really competitive game, there are a ton of those, right? You think Valorant, friggin' Overwatch is very competitive. Like, there are a lot of games out there, and you have to compete and take players away. And I just don't know that HighGuard had the stuff to do it, although the bones were good.
Yeah, I very well said. I agree with the majority of everything you said. I think personally, like I said, I just think it wasn't even the art style for me. It was just, there's too much shit. I think they put too much shit in the game. I don't feel like they had a true vision or direction. I think when you have to run around and this base building aspect, which it's almost like a MOBA, but it's not. And there's this downtime, and it's just it wasn't fun. It didn't look fun to me to play. The gunplay, like you said, I mean, it looked like Apex Legends, man. It looked like that shooting looked very snappy and responsive. I think they could have maybe had something. I wish this team would have just stayed with Respawn and helped make Titanfall 3 come to life. Maybe this studio is probably done skis, I would assume. I don't feel sorry for like the CEOs and the people that made the big decisions that were getting pocketed by, we found out, that Tencent was one of the backers of this. So I don't feel sorry for those people that were in boardrooms coming up with all the vomit of game ideas that they ripped off from tons of games. I don't feel sorry for them, but there are, an artist or a mocap director or a photographer or somebody on the lower totem pole that losing their job, and that sucks. I always talk about Cowboy that he tweeted, so they put in he put in quotes, "It's weird to celebrate people getting off," and in quotes, "They deserved it." He said, "Yeah, y'all are fucking weird. I didn't like the burger place down the street from me, but I wasn't celebrating, or I didn't like the burger place from down the street from me, but I wasn't celebrating when they closed. I just moved on with my day. Y'all are on some Skyrim NPC type behavior." And that's what it is. It's like, just don't fucking play. What did we say last year about the vitriol around Assassin's Creed Shadows? Just don't fucking play. I talked about last week, there's too many games and there is an oversaturation of games, and that is 100% true. I think there's things that need to be curated. We need to kind of tighten it up a little bit. The AAA industry, I think, is dying in a sense of they don't know what they want. It's almost like we're just in the Marvel movie phase of games, not in the sense we're getting Marvel games, but everything has to be, I'll talk about it when we get to Bluepoint. But everything has to just be this big thing, and nothing can just exist and move on. You can't just leave stuff alone. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. Don't invest your time in it. Play the things you want to play. And that is the good thing of oversaturation, is there's something for everybody. So if there's something for everybody, go play it and stop putting your hate out there on Twitter. I just feel like people aren't playing these games. They're just lying. Bunch of posers.
I'm thinking people don't like playing video games. Like I think there are so many more people who will watch a streamer play or whatever and just will never pick it up themselves. And I don't think we should be listening to those people's opinions. I think we should be listening to people's opinions who play games.
Don't even listen to our opinion. Go form your own.
Literally, go play the game. You mentioned Bluepoint. Let's get into it. This major news. Everyone, listen, on Twitter, I think, well, no, not Twitter. What was it? TikTok. People were very upset when we criticized Xbox a while ago and poked fun at them. Well, now we're going to be talking shit about Sony
I'm gonna rip them a new one.
PlayStation shuttered Bluepoint Games, the studio behind the remakes of Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls. This comes from Bloomberg. It broke the story originally. I'm going with IGN because I think paying for content is stupid. This comes from Bloomberg, which confirmed the news with PlayStation. Roughly 70 employees are going to be impacted by the closure when it officially occurs next month. Quote, Bluepoint Games is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experience for the PlayStation community, a PlayStation spokesperson told Bloomberg. Quote, we thank them for their passion, creativity, and craftsmanship. According to a previous report by Bloomberg, Bluepoint was working on a live service God of War game until January of 2025 when the project was canceled. The studio then spent the last year pitching new projects, but ultimately was shuttered before it could get one moving. Bluepoint was founded in 2006 by former Retro Studios employees and proceeded to work on a number of PlayStation games, including several collections, such as the God of War collection, the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, and Uncharted, oh my God. The Nathan Drake collection. It also served as a support studio on ports of games like PlayStation All-Stars, Flower, and Titanfall. Their claim to fame was the 2018 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, followed by 2020 remake of Demon Souls, both of which were highly praised by critics and fans. It wasn't until after Demon Souls that Sony acquired Bluepoint in 2021. This is just absolutely unbelievable news. I can't believe that Bluepoint is sticking around or is not sticking around when you have studios that I think probably could have taken the fall here instead of Bluepoint. They had a remake studio working on a live service God of War game. This goes back to Sony's just complete mismanagement of their studios. what are we doing here, guys? You could have had these guys make a number of remakes and remasters because that's what they were really, really good at. I mean, Demon Souls is still probably one of not only the best looking PlayStation 5 games, but also one of the highest regarded PlayStation 5 games. And then you saw them do that and said, you know what? Make a God of War live service game that nobody fucking wants and nobody ever has asked for. It's ridiculous. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented studio with so many industry veterans there. I can't comprehend how you would do this. Herman Hulst people have heads got to start rolling at the top for this, right? Like this type of mismanagement is just rotten to the core of PlayStation right now. You have studios that are off doing their things. You have your Naughty Dogs and your Insomniacs and all of those folks, right? But then you have these other teams, these smaller teams that they're like, oh, go make a live service. Oh, go. What? You should be empowering your studios to make not only the games that they want to make, but the games that you know that they can make really, really well. And who knows, maybe this God of War live service game is great, but apparently not that good because they canceled it. So what are you going to do? I don't know if they're going to get rid of all of these employees or keep some of them and put them to other studios or what. Excuse me. I've seen mixed reports on that up to this point. So we'll probably know a little bit more here in the coming weeks, but I'm just so upset by this. You bought these guys just a few years ago to shutter them now makes no sense. It's embarrassing for PlayStation. It shows a massive amount of mismanagement at the top, and we'll that's going to be a topic and a theme of this episode is just what's going on at the top of some of these companies. But yeah, I mean, Bluepoint, go for it.
I saw this and I was like, what the fuck? When it first happened, the day it happened, I was like, what the fuck? Why? And then you hear about the God of War stuff, and allegedly there's rumor, but I think it's probably not true. But there was something that they were pitching it to. They wanted to be the ones to make the live service, and I don't know if I buy that. I don't think you make a game as good and almost one-to-one and beautiful and fun as Demon Souls remake and not like try to do something else. I want to talk here in a minute too. Allegedly, they pitched and Sony agreed about a Bloodborne remake or remaster or something Bloodborne-y. And FromSoft actually said, Miyazaki said, even though Sony owns the IP, they would have to get source code and some of that data that From Software owns. And Miyazaki said no. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But just the closure itself, it doesn't make sense. It's like you said, that any one of these studios, like fucking Concord, right? Firewalk, they're still here. They're still a studio. Nobody else knows what the fuck they're doing. But they, and and then, okay, at least Bluepoint was like, when this happened, I was like, cool, I can finally maybe get Bloodborne remake, remaster 2, something, maybe Metal Gear Solid remake. They can pitch it. They let them be. They've proven they can do it, and they've done it. They were remastering all these games from the PlayStation 2 and 3 era to the PlayStation 4. So they know how to work with other people's software. They work well with other developers. They're respected. And so or let them make something on their own. See what they could do. I don't.
You got Media Molecule still around. Media Molecule, Dreams, it flopped. What are they doing over there?
And it reeks of. I was like, I told you, Herman Hulst needs to fucking go. I have the email that he sent out to every first party studio, including people at Bluepoint. The email Herman sent out. Hello, everyone. I wanted to share an important update from the studio business. As I mentioned in December Town Hall 2025, we had some strong highlights with PlayStation Studios. Ghost of Yotei launched to critical and commercial success. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach further showcase, which that's not even your own game. They just used your engine. On the Beach further showcased our commitment to narrative excellence, and Helldivers 2 and MLB The Show continue to drive ongoing player engagement and revenue. At the same time, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slowed industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. Rising development costs, okay, I agree with that. Slowed industry growth. That's on y'all. That's however your studio heads, and that's up to you, the type of game that you're going to make. And if you're I think we're trying, what do you want? Do you want someone to just slap out a live service game? That's how that reads to me. Changing player behavior, can't really argue that one. And broader economic headwinds, I get that, making it harder to build games sustainably. Very corporate answer so far. To navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving. We've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well positioned for the future. As a result, we will be closing Bluepoint Games in March. This decision was not made lightly. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional businesses for the PlayStation community. I want to thank everyone at Bluepoint for their creativity, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. Where possible, we will find work opportunities for some impacted employees within our global networks. Probably going to retain like a handful, because I think Bluepoint's like 200 people. I don't know that for a fact. I know this is hard news to hear. I'm confident in the direction we are headed, blah, 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 blah. All the best, Herman Hulst. Like, so what sucks about Bluepoint is even remaking something, even if they're just the dedicated remake studio, at least that's more. Now everything is just okay. Insomniac's the Marvel studio, I guess, now, because we had Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, and now Wolverine. Santa Monica hasn't made anything not God of War since Kinetica on the PlayStation 2. Not a thing. And apparently they can't even make their own God of War games because they outsourced stuff to Mad Cats for this Metroidvania game and a live service God of War game to Bluepoint. And now we're hearing that Cory Barlog's rumored game, I wanted to talk about this, is allegedly, because I remember Jason Schreier saying it's not a new IP, but it's going to feel like it. So I thought he was doing something old, kind of like bringing something back, Legacy of Kain or something ish, right? No, it's just God of War, but it's not going to be called God of War, and it's going to feature Frey from God of War 2. That sounds so like lame, and that's going to take time to develop. And we already know they're doing God of War remastered trilogy. So you're going to get Cory's game remastered trilogy probably next. So Santa Monica's just the God of War studio. Sony and Herman Hulst, because Herman used to work at Guerrilla, he's milking Guerrilla's Horizon tit for all it's worth, because you have the Lego game, you have this new game as a service game, Monster Hunter type game, another Horizon game featuring Aloy, the VR Horizon game. So Guerrilla's the Horizon studio. We know that Naughty Dog has Heretic Prophecy coming, but that game was announced before the release of season 1 of The Last of Us, and that show took off. So Sony's going to make a Last of Us 3. You're probably not going to get Uncharted 5. You're not going to get anything Heretic Prophecy. You're lucky you got that, because it got announced right when they were, because I guarantee you Sony probably would have shit canned them.
And they canceled The Last of Us. The multiplayer Last of Us game, which of all of these probably had the chance at having the most, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's crazy. And, we'll talk about Xbox and their corporate speak with the changes there. But when I work in corporate America, I've been there through layoffs. I've been there through major leadership changes. What they're telling you internally and what is actually happening are not always the same. They have to control the narrative. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously, games are expensive to make, sure. Yeah. What does any of that have to do with shuttering Bluepoint, in my opinion? What like, it just makes no sense. Get these guys working on something else. Like, they're a good studio that you shelled out money for not long ago. And you've got, you just have other studios here, Firewalk and Media Molecule, like all of these other studios, and not to shit on them and say that they're bad studios. That's not necessarily true, but Media Molecule hasn't really made anything great in a while. And Firewalk, I mean, Concord just completely flopped. Like historic, meteoric, industry changing. Like, people will talk about Concord for years to come, and they're still around. It just doesn't add up at the end of the day. I would love to know if there's more to the story or something that we don't know about, because
Sony
it
Bend,
feels that way.
Like Sony Bend. They made, I mean, what was the motorcycle game called? I forgot. Days Gone. Days Gone. That was cool, but then they had the Golden Abyss, right? Was the game before Days Gone. They didn't make anything, and we haven't seen anything from Bend. Bungie gets a pass because I'm sure Sony has regretted buying them for the failures of towards the end of Destiny 2 that weren't, you had players leaving in droves. The final shape sold well, but the next one didn't. And it seemed like the direction of what they were doing and the player handling didn't seem to kind of fit that Sony pride that I guess never existed in the first place. But it's almost like, why do this and not see if Marathon pans out? What if Marathon flops? What if people don't like it like they are? And when that game's probably going to be driven by microtransactions and gun skins and player skins and all the things like that. I hope they don't let you buy. I would be really worried right now that Marathon, hopefully it eventually doesn't let you buy storage space and consumable items, like nothing that you can find in the game to loot better not be payable. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I can't see that happening. I think they're probably smarter.
The greed with what Bungie did, they were almost at times just as bad as Activision, and now you have Sony just chasing what seems like the dragon of live service games. I don't know. I'm not saying Bungie's is next, but I would have been like, well, let's see if this game's even worth a shit, because they've put so much money into it. We've bought Bungie for so much. If this game flops, at least you got Bluepoint.
Yeah.
I wanted your thoughts, or I wanted to, what are your thoughts on From Software not wanting Sony to touch Bloodborne? As a Souls fan, I actually it gave me peace of mind.
I mean, you can be precious with it if you want, I guess, if you're FromSoft, but also like, it's like a cult classic at this point.
Yeah.
When you look at the numbers, right, and you look at how Bloodborne sold and how it's sold over time, yes, it's a great game and it's very well regarded. And I would love to play a remake. I would definitely play a remake of Bloodborne. Like, it would probably get me into the Souls genre. But I think that they're being a little too cautious with it. Like, you saw what Bluepoint did with Demon's Souls. That shit was great. Yeah. And they would do the same thing with Bloodborne. But also, okay, FromSoft, if you're going to bar people from playing this, which they would get a cut of I'm sure something, right? So they could cut a deal with Sony that they get a percentage of sales or whatever. Like, like, when there's money to be made, there's deals to be made, right? And when you prevent Sony from doing it, you better do it, right? Like, get on it. Who wins here and who loses, right? Players lose. But thinking about it from a corporate perspective, Sony wants to do it. FromSoft doesn't want them to do it. You're at a stalemate. Hey, we need things from you. I mean, I guess Sony doesn't have to, right? They could probably just figure it out and build it on their own if they really wanted to.
That's what surprises me. It's like, I'm surprised Sony was even like, okay, We respect your decision. And it's like, you respect somebody else's, which, don't get me wrong, I love Miyazaki and I'm a from simp till the day I die. But from a business perspective, you respect somebody who's going to get part of the profits if they do it themselves, as opposed to you own the IP and you could have let the fucking studio that you shut down, and you know that fucking thing would have printed money.
Yeah.
Hell, if they just uncapped the frame rate to the PlayStation 4 version and released it on PlayStation 5, you don't have to update shit. Just uncap the frame rate. See what the PS5 can do with an uncapped Bloodborne frame rate. You could still charge $40 for it today, and people would buy it like crazy again, or sell it again, or something. I release it on PC, which that'll be another topic, but I don't know. This just doesn't make sense. And I think Herman Hulst I didn't like Jim Ryan. I haven't really been a fan of Upper Sony since Sean Layden left. I think Jim Ryan sucked. I think Herman Hulst sucked. Can we get somebody that plays fucking video games to run one of these major studios? Like, anybody? Because I guess that's a good segue. Xbox is doing the same thing.
Yeah. Phil Spencer announced that he is retiring, which, when you've been at a company for as long as he's been there, means, hey, Phil, we're
89.
Yeah. We're gonna fire you. You're done, but we're gonna let you retire. Sarah Bond, by the way, she's out. Matt Booty promoted, and then go for it.
No, just go on. I'm just pissed.
and Microsoft elects Asha Sharma as the new Xbox. The new head of Xbox. She is currently the president of Microsoft's core AI product. So she is she's very close with Satya Nadella, who is Microsoft's CEO. And she has worked closely with him, as every tech company across the entire world is obsessed with AI. I work for a tech company. I hear AI 1,000 times a day. I sell tools that are heavily integrated with AI. I get the push for AI. I don't know that that's exactly what's happening here. I don't think you're going to start seeing a bunch of AI slop. I do have a lot of opinions. I want to read a few things and cherry pick a few things, so bear with me. There's a lot on this IGN article. I'm going to skip around. I've highlighted a few things I want to talk about. One of the main things I want to run through is Asha's first address to Xbox and the company, but I also want to set the stage a little bit here. Sharma is a former VP of product and engineering at Meta and former Instacart COO, who is also a board member at Home Depot. She joined Microsoft in 2024. Her email to Microsoft staff, she wrote, in part, "My first job is simple: understanding what makes this work and protect it. It starts with 3 commitments. First, great games. Everything begins here. We must have great games beloved by players before we do anything. Unforgettable characters, stories that make us feel, innovative gameplay, and creative excellence. We will empower our studios, invest in iconic franchises, and back bold new ideas. We will take risks. We never enter new categories and markets where we can add real value grounded in what players care about most. I promise Matt Booty in honor of his commitment. I understand the craft and the challenges of building games. He understands the craft and challenges of building games, has led many teams that deliver award-winning work, and has earned the trust of developers across the industry. Second,
he has, real quick. Fuck Matt Booty. I don't understand why he's still there. And Phil gets fired. We know he got fired, but Matt Booty has been with Xbox, I think, since the early 90s. Worked with Microsoft and then changed over to the Xbox branding when they made Xbox. But he's been responsible for shit shifted away from strict console exclusivity, bringing first-party titles. Like, he helped bring Sea of Thieves, and Halo and Hi-Fi Rush and some of these games, and now Forza is coming to PlayStation. He moved away from that. He helped concede because he expressed that primary competition is no longer just on other consoles, but general entertainment like TikTok and movies. He was the reason that I think Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil, he created Tango Gameworks, who made the Evil Within 1 and 2, and that one first person game. I can't think of it because I didn't play it, but it looked kind of cool. Anyway, they shut down Tango. He shut down Tango GameWorks, and Shinji Mikami left before. He just mismanaged studio after studio. He was responsible for all the layoffs after the Blizzard Activision acquisition. So, like, no, he doesn't. And I don't think he's. I don't know. I don't know anybody in the industry, but I'm like, why is Matt Booty still there? But Phil Spencer is out. Matt Booty was, I think, the one that made the decisions to put the Kinect bundled in with the Xbox and came up with that bullshit that the Xbox One is the TV machine. You know, or you remember that? Like, oh, you can hook it up to your cable box. Like anybody did that. Like anybody did that.
Cable on it. It's like
what? In a time period when the whole world, the writing was on the tea leaves that we're shifting away from nobody ever owning cable or satellite ever again. Like, yeah, dude, Matt Booty is not a good decision maker. And now the person that is over it has no gaming background whatsoever.
Yep. And listen, when corporate shakeups happen like this, right? There's, Satya Nadella is sitting there, and Xbox has been losing money quarter over quarter over quarter over quarter over quarter. No one's buying Xboxes, right? And they realized, hey, we're not selling any consoles, no hardware, and we're getting, everything is getting eaten. Okay, well, let's see if we can be the Netflix of gaming. Okay, well, they found out that they couldn't grow the business the way that they wanted to, right? Numbers have been stagnant, if not falling, for the last however long. It's still a great value. They raised prices on it. Now it's not a great value anymore. I'm wondering what they're seeing internally for these numbers. So, okay, we have no exclusives, so we have no reason for folks to buy an Xbox because we don't have any games that people will spend $800 now plus basically on a console for. Our next console is going to be a PC. It's going to run Windows, so people are going to have Steam on it. There's just no... I believe that this is the beginning of the end for Xbox as a console. I think they will be a publisher. I think they will still make games, but these games are going to be everywhere. There's something that they pulled from one of these quotes, right? Second, the return of Xbox. We will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, to those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and to the developers who build the expansive universes and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console, which has shaped who we are. It connects the players and the fans who invest in Xbox and the developers who build ambitious experiences for it. People are taking this quote and they're saying, oh my God, maybe they'll bring exclusives back and we're getting another Xbox. And listen, guys, you're not going to get exclusives back. It's just not going to happen. Like, it would happen if people bought the Xbox Series generation in droves and it was competitive with PlayStation, maybe, but it's just not that way anymore. And what you're going to get from a console perspective, it's going to be in conjunction, I believe it's with AMD. We reported on this a while ago, right? But it's going to be a PC Windows device, and it's going to be similar to the ROG Ally X. It's going to run the Xbox app, and that's what it's going to be. So you're going to see the Xbox app other places, and I think that is what it's going to be. But he's bringing in a crony, essentially, right? Someone who he trusts to silently start deteriorating Xbox, I think, and bring it into whatever the next chapter is going to be. These decisions have already been made, right? The how these things happen in the corporate world is that they take a look at different branches of the business, and Microsoft has a bunch of them, and Xbox has been this really fun experiment for quite a long time. I think it was core and pivotal to the Xbox brand in the early 2000s as to what they wanted to be, where they wanted to go, and I think it's just slowly petered off. And the main reason is that they bought all these studios, they made all of these large acquisitions, which is going to be Phil Spencer's legacy. The biggest thing that he will have to his name is they went out and bought Activision Blizzard. And that is going to be, I think it was the biggest move that he made. I think it was risky. I think everyone knew it was risky, and it didn't pay off. You take big bites, and sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. And how do you pay for all these things? Game Pass didn't work. This didn't work. That didn't work. So you're stuck now. And I love Xbox. I still really enjoy the brand. It's not even recognizable to what it was, before. So it's sad. I Phil will probably go, off into the sunset, and he'll work with some studios, I'm sure, and they'll pay him big money to come in and consult for different things. But ultimately, you know, he had a good time. He's made a shit ton of money. Sucks that Matt Booty's in. Asha Sharma, we'll see. I mean, I will say this: she was she was a project manager at Meta, and she was a COO, so chief operating officer. She comes from the product world. She's obviously been in core AI for a while, which is a major part of Microsoft's business at this point, as the AI as AI just takes over everywhere. It's coming for people's jobs and all of these different things. But she's trustworthy, and that's why she's there. She has, I'm sure, very strict marching orders. I would not believe a word she says about recommitting to Xbox. I wouldn't believe a word of any of this corporate stuff, pretty much from the outside. Phil, you tried, you failed, you can retire. Sarah Bond, there's been rumors about her coming out recently that she was a nightmare to work with and all of these different things. They just deactivated her ass. They deactivated her on Microsoft Teams and said, thank you very much. Like, she didn't get any send off. She didn't get anything. She was out. And this whole, she was the one.
She just like did like an interview a week before about like things that she had planned that she was going to do about the new exciting commitments to Xbox, and then she's just gone. So I wonder who at Microsoft was just like so pissed at these two. And Phil's kind of a sad thing because he's just been in the industry for so long, and I actually didn't hate, didn't love, but Phil Spencer was one of those gaming voices that you've heard your whole life in video games, and for him to be ousted it just sucks, man. I'll say this, man, like thanks for letting me resubscribe, and I'm like I'm gonna pick up Game Pass for 1 month so I can finally play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on the cheap, because it's coming there, and so Game Pass is consumer friendly kind of still. If you want to subscribe for a month, if something's on there, like I'm gonna play Ninja Gaiden 4 eventually at some point, and I'm gonna use Game Pass for that, but I won't stay subscribed. And I just don't know what happens next, and I will, like you said, don't trust anything that comes out of her mouth. I don't like the fact that she's so AI heavy background and I'm so against AI, and especially in uses of art. Not saying that I'm completely against a person that wants to use it. I just probably wouldn't play your product if I knew that it's 90% AI. I can't get down with that. My moral compass ain't fucked up enough, and I'm afraid that these first party studios by Xbox, unfortunately, because they swallowed up so many of the competition, and these developers, like especially Bethesda, probably id Software, what's going to be the future of their games? Because Microsoft's always, that's what Microsoft is. They are a software company. They've always been focused on software. So when you saw the writing on the wall and AI was popping off everywhere, somebody in some boardroom was like, well, fuck, we'll just use that to make video games. It'll be cheap. We don't have to pay anybody, and we can just have the AI do it itself. I bet we could get someone to go in and tweak it. We can fire a team of 200 people, slice it down into about 50, and they just work on what AI made for them.
Yeah,
that's where I think the industry is heading. That's why I said I know, me too. But that's why I feel like enjoy your Resident Evil 9s and these things as you can, because in indie games might be the saving grace to the gaming industry one day.
Yeah, it's sad. I think Xbox has if let's say and take Asha Sharma and let's say that everything that she said is true, and Xbox is going to be back, and there's going to be a new commitment to Xbox and all of these things. They got a long way to go, man. Because I mean, PlayStation completely ate their lunch. They're non-competitive in the hardware space, and in the world where your digital library is so important, like you're not going to be able to come back from that. So you'll be making these multi-platform devices, right? And you'll compete with the Steam machine, because the next Xbox will be a Steam machine, and it will be expensive. It will be very expensive. So that, I mean, yeah, all of this ties back to the RAM shortages that we talked about last week. It's just, it's too little too late for Xbox. They're going to be a publisher. They'll continue, their studios will probably continue to pump out good games. We can only hope that they're not trying to cut costs at all of these studios and implementing mandatory AI. Hey, we need AI to be writing code for this, that, and the other. And here's generated art and all of these things. Like, I think it can be an incredibly useful assistant. But that's about it. But time will tell. I'm not optimistic. And if you're an Xbox fan, I will say this. I've seen a lot of Xbox fans drinking a ton of copium. I get it. It stinks. No one's happy about it, but this is by no means good news for you.
I will say this with to piggyback off of all the Bluepoint stuff and Herman Hulst's fuck ups. Sony's lucky that they have the games that they do, and they won the last 2 generations in a row, because they've been put in a position where they're able to be kind of lackadaisical now, because they don't have to have Xbox. But it wouldn't surprise me still if they try to push for Game Pass to come to PlayStation in some sort of way. I don't see Sony allowing that, but it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft keeps fighting for that, or on Nintendo Switch 2, which can now run a lot of games a lot better, and I could see them buddying up at some point. I've said that for years. I think it's a possibility Nintendo and Xbox still kind of get in each other's bed, but Sony's lucky right now that they fucked up at the right time when the other side fucked up again.
That is so poignant and a really good point. Yeah, Sony is lucky, because if Xbox was at full force like they were in the 360 era, Sony would be struggling, and you'd see another kind of falter like PS3. But they're in a strong position, and I think at the end of the day, too, like, Xbox doesn't have anything as good as Ghost of Yotei. Like, they haven't released really anything that is as quality, as playable, as artistic as Yotei. They just don't have, like, nothing is stylized. Starfield, right? And that's coming to PlayStation. It's like, will I play Starfield? Maybe. Depending on the updates, maybe. But I'll probably play that shit on PlayStation.
Every year, the best-selling PlayStation game is technically an Xbox franchise, Call of Duty.
They are the largest publisher on PlayStation by far, right? By far.
It's crazy.
So it's absolutely insane. And they're,
because they own Minecraft and COD, just those two alone.
This is something else that I saw. If you think that Xbox is going to start having exclusive games again, you are out of your mind. Take a look at Forza Horizon and the sales on PlayStation 5. Take a look at Sea of Thieves and how all of these games performed over on PlayStation. They're not going away, guys. They're going to continue to put games on PlayStation.
I know Indiana Jones was on Game Pass technically, but I mean, it is sold better. It's selling individual copies more on PlayStation.
Yep, and that's where you make your money, guys.
People are like, because there's no Game Pass, and it's like, yeah, because Phil put everything on Game Pass. I think also too, eventually you're going to see Game Pass start kind of either going significantly up in price and everything still stays on Game Pass and it increases even more, or you see it kind of teetered off and it's only for those kind of more of like what a PlayStation Plus does, where you're not going, that's the only way that and that's what they should do, is brand new games shouldn't be coming to Game Pass day and date. Like, I think that's stupid on their part. And that's 100% why I think you're right, that you're never going to see an exclusive on Xbox ever again. Like, because nobody's going to buy this fucking machine. Nobody's buying this one. Nobody's going to care about whatever your next PC thing, hybrid thing is. And that just tells me that you're more focused on, your studios are going to make games PC first and then do the console PS5, PS6 rollout second.
Yep. No, I mean that's exactly where people are going, and where Xbox is going to be everywhere. PlayStation is pulling away from PC for single player PlayStation games. Under the current leadership, PC has become less important. This comes from IGN, which comes
This is another
from
stupid fucking thing to do.
I actually think this is a smart move for Sony, and I'll kind of explain why. So Sony is reportedly pulling away from PC when it comes to single player PlayStation games to focus on more console exclusivity. Various comments from credible sources, including Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier and Digital Foundry's John, I think it's Lineman, it could be Linman, indicate PC has become less important for Sony, and that Sony will focus on single player exclusives, and they will do just that. Speaking on the Triple Click podcast, which Schreier loves to do this shit, Schreier indicated that Sony will continue to release its live service games on PC as well as PlayStation, but the sense I'm getting is that they're backing away from putting their exclusive console stuff like traditional single player stuff on PC. I had to do a Jason Schreier impression there because that is exactly how he sounds like.
What made me laugh was I was about to say I wouldn't know because he blocked me years ago, and then you do that, and I'm like, okay, maybe I see why.
I probably said something and deserved it because I'm also blocked. This guy Schreier, I mean, he's like one of the only people that are breaking stories at the rate. He's like really the only. I don't. I mean, it's not true, but he's probably the best gaming journalist. But he's man, he is sensitive. He's a sensitive little man.
Yes, he is.
So I'll give you my pitch on this. So Sony is going to continue to bring multiplayer games like Marathon, live service games to PC, which I think is really smart. Recently, Sony's first party games have not been selling very well on PC. Gamers bought the first couple ones, like Days Gone sold really well, Ghosts of Tsushima sold really well, Spider-Man sold really well, but the sales have been petering off for those first party single player titles. You also are seeing Xbox implode, but you're seeing Nintendo double and triple down on exclusive games. And I think what Sony is thinking here is, okay, well, we know for a fact the next Xbox is going to be expensive, and they're basically toast, right? There are some crossover between Nintendo players and PlayStation players, but typically you're getting, maybe some crossover from the hardcore guys and gals like us who have a PC and a PlayStation. But ultimately, they have internal data, and they're probably able to see people who play PlayStation care about our exclusives. And if we can train them to understand that if you want these single player, cinematic, over the shoulder, third person, Sony exclusive games, you got to buy a PlayStation for it. I think if the money was better on Steam, they wouldn't be able to turn it down, but I don't think they've been making as much as they want on Steam. I've seen a lot of discourse online about, well, the next Xbox is going to have Steam and they don't want their games on Xbox. And I don't know. Maybe that's a small part of it, but I don't think so. I don't think that's going to cause anybody to buy or not buy the next Xbox if they're getting games a year later, single player, first party games from Sony. But I think it's smart for them to go and continue to put multiplayer games, Helldivers and Marathon and Hunter's Gathering, right? Terrible fucking name for that Horizon game, but I think that's smart, and I think bring a lot of these things back to your console and make players not only reward players for buying your console, right? Instead of waiting for it, training people to wait for it on PC or whatever. Like, hey, if you want to play our exclusive games, you're gonna have to do it on our console. It's going to be best here. It's going to be quickest here. It's going to be easier here. And they're also, some of these ports have had issues when they first come out. Sony has not had an easy time getting these games and developing them For The Last of Us Part 2 had issues when it first released. Spider-Man 2 also had issues when it released on Steam. So some of these games have had technical issues because Sony is the developers are not used to doing that, right? They develop for one console or two consoles, PS4, PS5, or PS5, PS5 Pro, and then potentially PS6. So I think scaling this back a little bit and saying, you know what? All right, PlayStation Faithful, like you're going to continue to get all of these things. And if you want to play them, you're going to have to come here to get them. I don't know that it's gamer friendly. That's true. But I think if you're Sony from a business perspective, you win in a few ways. You win by gaining even more brand loyalty. You make your console stickier, right? And you are able to provide the types of experiences that Nintendo is not putting out right now and that Xbox has struggled to put out, which is high fidelity, first person, narrative, story driven games. But that's my pitch on it. It's coming a little bit more from the corporate side of things than it is from a player friendly side for sure. But when you've won and they viewed Xbox as their biggest competitor, they're not really viewing PC players as competitors, and they're not really at this point considering Nintendo as competitors. I think they will when they release that handheld, but that'll be a story for down the road to see how all of that pans out. But what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you said you're not a super fan of this, so
Yeah, so what I'll take away, two cents from just what we know, right? Because Schreier said this might be, yeah, I'm not ready to talk about everything yet, right? So we really ostensibly don't understand everything that there could potentially happen, right? Just all speculation for the most part, but that's in the pipeline. One thing that isn't being talked about is I'm wondering, tinfoil hat time that I like to do, is this because of what we talked about last week in RAM shortages and that the PS6 might be further out, that it's like these games might be Wolverine, some of these other games that have released last year that aren't on PC quite yet. Are they worried that that's going to go to PC before this PlayStation 6 comes out, and maybe they're like, hey, hold back on some of these games, don't let them go to PC, because we've been putting games on PC, and if Wolverine goes to PC before it's on PlayStation 6, and somebody, like, you see what I'm saying? So maybe that fear is in there somewhere. Or is it possible too, on the flip side, that the PS6 is more powerful than we thought? Is it going to be a little bit better than what we're thinking it could be? And these first party games, like you said, we're going to use these big grandiose titles to sell hardware and software.
I think that they know that their console is going to be the least expensive thing out there for gamers who want these high fidelity games. I think that they know that being a PC avid gamer, because of the RAM issues and everything else, is going to get really fucking expensive. And I think if they can release a console that's like $500 for the PS6, I think people will buy it. And I think they're starting to see that. I think they're starting to see that Xbox is going to be super expensive and Switch is not going to be powerful enough. So if you want these kind of experiences, we're going to make them affordable to the average consumer. Like, console gaming has always been more affordable than a PC. It just always has. It's been the entry point. Now, what they want to be is the de facto console. So when you think about playing a AAA game, you think PlayStation, right? They want to be the iPhone of that, right? Like, people have Androids, whatever, but iPhone has a huge market share. And that is just
at the sad reality of that is that's not even PlayStation doing that. That's because competition failed, because Nintendo can't stop they have all the employees, they have all the money in the world to do it, but they can't seem to develop hardware that exists in the current time period. And then the other competition, committed seppuku. So
yeah.
Yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, they didn't have a hand in that. They're a victim of circumstance, and they're just kind of capitalizing on that circumstance. The reason I said I thought I don't like this, and I said it was stupid, was because I guess it's an unknown hypothetical stupid, because we don't know everything. Like, because Jason Schreier said that they're not ready to talk about this yet. PlayStation's not ready to release a full statement on it, but the it's stupid in the sense that keep doing what you're doing. Release these games years down the road. Don't release day and date. Make them buy a PlayStation if they want to play Death Stranding 2 the year it came out, even though like I could have totally waited for the PC version and it would have played, but the PS5 version of Death Stranding 2 was great. Horizon Forbidden West, took another year to come out. Gran Turismo 7 is still only on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. If it was on PC, like I still don't understand why they didn't do that yet. Why is that there? Why is it not on your subscription service yet? And Polyphony, they like PlayStation, like they really kind of, you did it with the show, which is the only baseball game. Why would you not do that with Gran Turismo? And so I don't understand, hopefully they're not going to put nothing on PC anymore. But keep doing what you're doing, I think, years down the road, because money is money. And it's like, majority of these ports aren't done. Like God of War port to PC was not primarily done. You have all these other party studios, these third and fourth party studios that assist in only part of the team, right? Because they're busy making Cory Barlog's new game. But you have other studios help make these ports, so it's really not taking away from your resources, and it's just extra money. I get that the sales probably weren't there, but it's still something is better than nothing. And then also, you just shut down the one fucking studio that could have been your PC port team. Like, it's all dumb. And like I said, to me, this isn't on brand with what Sony should continue to do. I agree with you in the sense that, yeah, move consoles, but still space it out. What's the hurt in that?
I don't know. I don't think there is any hurt in that. I don't know, man. I mean, these companies are just flat, like, they seem to be shooting from the hip right now. And if Sony wants to try this out, we'll see. Time will tell. But they have numbers. They can see the Steam charts, and Gran Turismo would sell like crazy on PC. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting generation, I think, from here to the start of the next, whatever the next PlayStation is. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate all of this. It's going to be interesting.
It doesn't matter. We'll all be dead from World War III anyway. We won't even get to play GTA 6. I didn't think we were getting the remake of the Gulf War before GTA 6 happened. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also wanted to say too, before we go, that shotgun's getting nerfed in Marathon.
100%. Oh my God. Yeah, it's definitely getting nerfed. That about wraps it up. So we appreciate everybody for listening. Please write in. Tell us what you think about all of this. I mean, this is pretty big console and gaming news. remotegamingpodcast@gmail.com. Be a part of the show. We really appreciate everybody out there listening. We enjoy doing this. Joseph, I hope you have a fantastic evening.
You too, my friend. I will see you hopefully next week. But I got some more zombies to kill.
Yes, sir. All right. I'll see you later.